Harrison later apologized, saying, quote, "I should not have called Colin Kaepernick's race into question during this morning's radio interview. It was a mistake and I apologize. Last point I want people to know, I never knew he was mixed." All right, Jace, you buying Harrison's apology?
No, and particularly not the I never knew he was mixed. The 49ers used to be good, and he was the quarterback. He played the Sunday night football games. The kid played in the Super Bowl. The conversation about Colin Kaepernick and being a successful black quarterback has been a part of his narrative. Hard for me to believe Rodney Harrison isn't aware of that. The other part of this, Rodney Harrison, I'm going to, he crossed the line, clearly. I'm going to give him this out. We've had this whole barbershop conversation going on in the media through social media and through television. The guy gets on radio and tries to have a conversation that's appropriate for the barbershop. Because what he's really trying to say is Kaepernick didn't grow up the way the majority of African Americans did, and therefore
that's your perception of what he was saying.
That's my perception. He didn't grow up the way Rodney Harrison grew up, the way I grew up, and so therefore Kaepernick's perspective on black people isn't as authentic. I disagree with Rodney, but that was what he was trying to express.
He's a broadcaster. You got to be a little more buttoned up, no?
I mean, a broadcaster on Sunday Night Football, hell yes.
I mean, my belief is everybody wants to run to a radio show or a TV show or social media and talk about race. You better be buttoned up because it is a topic right now that can get you in a great deal of trouble. If you're an NBC broadcaster on sometimes the most watched football game of the week.
No, the most watched television show
of the week. Rodney has to be more responsible.
Yeah, he's got to be more responsible. Look, this reminds me, we've seen this conversation around RG3. We've seen this conversation around Colin Kaepernick. We saw it around Russell Wilson. Race is an issue for African-American quarterbacks, and it gets discussed. Again, just like you're saying, you got to be careful how you handle it. Listen, Colin Kaepernick's upbringing, raised by a white family in Wisconsin, not the traditional upbringing of African Americans.
It's our responsibility as broadcasters to know stories, though, of star quarterbacks.
Clearly he knew it. Again, I think Rodney's bothered by Kaepernick and his stance against the national anthem. He went too far. I would not be surprised if Sunday Night Football doesn't discipline him in some way, because this is out of bounds and over the line. But I kind of understand what he was trying to accomplish.